Okay, so welcome everyone. Firstly, I will introduce myself one more time. My name is Valeria Gergieva. I have a PhD in political science, and at the moment I'm a visiting research fellow at the Institute for Peace Research and Security Policy at the University of Hamburg. Also, I'm a non-resident research fellow at Odessa Center for Non-Proliferation. And in the Black Sea Women in Nuclear Network, I'm one of the leaders of the such initiatives as Black Sea Expert NucTalks and Professional Skills Building Opportunities programs. And I want to share with you a few words about our initiative. Black Sea Experts NucTalks, it is an initiative of the Black Sea Women in Nuclear Network, and any professional can join the network and participate in our NucTalks, nevertheless of their level of knowledge, expertise, and country of origin or living. And the main idea is to increase awareness of a variety of issues, news, and research, also to share ideas and expertise in arms control, non-proliferation, disarmament, nuclear safety, security, etc. And of course, one of the most important is to find friends of interest and support each other in the nuclear community. And today we have a special session of the Black Sea Experts NucTalks named History Lesson, Never Again, Testimonials of the Atomic Bomb Survivor. This NucTalk event offers a unique opportunity for participants to engage with history, learn from the past, and draw inspiration from the indomitable spirit of those who have faced unimaginable challenges. Discussing Hiroshima and Nagasaki is crucial for honoring the victims, understanding the devastating impact of nuclear weapons, advocating for peace and disarmament, and ensuring that history's lessons are not forgotten. And I also want to stress that we are conducting our meeting on the International Days Against Nuclear Tests, which is observed on August 29th each year. This day aims to raise awareness about the dangers of nuclear testing and to promote a world free of nuclear weapons. It was established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2009 and has been observed since 2010. And before we start, it's my pleasure to introduce you, our invited moderator, Masaki Toki. Masaki Toki is a senior project manager and research associate at the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies at the Middlebury Institute in Monterey. She is passionate about disarmament and non-proliferation education for young generations. She coordinates the Critical Issues Forum to promote disarmament and non-proliferation education to high school students and teachers around the world, including the US and Japan, and the summer undergraduate non-proliferation fellowship program. Her research interests include Japan's nuclear disarmament policy, non-proliferation and disarmament education, humanitarian initiative, and the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. So welcome, Masaki. I will pass floor to you. So please.
Thank you so much, Valeria, and it's so wonderful to meet so many friends. And thank you so much, Ms. Wada. And I'm extremely honored to introduce Ms. Wada to especially this audience, because as Valeria just mentioned, today is a very important day, the International Day Against Nuclear Testing. And I really cannot think of any better speaker than Ms. Wada. So let me introduce today's distinguished speaker, Ms. Masako Wada. And I always say that I'm so honored to share the same first name. Masako is a quite common Japanese woman's name. So Ms. Wada is the Assistant Secretary General of Nihon Hidankyo, the Japan Confederation of Atomic and H-bomb Sufferers Organization. She is a Hibakusha atomic bombing survivor in Nagasaki. Ms. Wada was 1 year old when the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki on August 9, 1945, and exposed to the radiation. She has been actively working for nuclear abolition with various anti-nuclear weapons civil society groups and sharing her personal testimonials. She gave her statement at numerous occasions. both high-level meetings and grassroots activities, including United Nations conferences and the Vatican Conference on Nuclear Disarmament in November 2017. Furthermore, she has been promoting the International Hibakusha Appeal Signature Campaign with other atomic bombing survivors and young activists to call on all state governments to join the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons to achieve total abolition of nuclear weapons. During the TPNW negotiations in June 2017, Ms. Wada submitted approximately 3 million signatures to the conference president, Ambassador Ellen White Gomez, on behalf of Hibakusha and campaign supporters. In her statement today, she will talk about her mother's experience, who suffered from the bombing of Nagasaki, and her tireless efforts for nuclear disarmament. So I'm very happy to have Ms. Wada. So now, Ms. Wada, the microphone is yours. So, どうぞ。
Thank you, Masako-san. Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Masako Wada. As one of the Hibakusha, I'm very grateful to give me this opportunity to share our story and activity with you, members of Black Sea Women in Nuclear Network. I was born in 1943. The atomic bomb was dropped when I was 1 year and 10 months old. I was at home 2.9 kilometers away from the epicenter in Nagasaki City. I don't remember anything about what happened on that day. I was able to survive thanks to the landscape of Nagasaki, which is surrounded by mountains. I grew up listening to my mother talking about her experience from time to time. But I was there with my mother and my grandfather. On August 9, after an air raid warning lifted, my mother was preparing lunch. I was playing alone on the floor of the entrance. At 11:02, she heard a big sound of the explosion. The next moment, window panes, sliding doors, and clay walls inside our house were all blown to pieces by the blast. A pile of mud and dust over 30 centimeters thick was left on the floor. Outside, my mother saw orange-colored smoke, which veiled the houses on the other side of the street. The green trees on the mountainside surrounding the downtown area had turned all brown. Fires broke out from the epicenter in the northern part of the city. To escape the fire, wounded and burned people crossed the mountain to come down into our area in the city. On the mountain path, she saw the moving of people lined up like ants. Their hair was so matted with blood that she couldn't even tell if they were male or female. They were almost naked. She trembled seeing the black and withering line of people coming down the mountain. Many people are believed to have died on that mountainside. Right next to my house was a vacant lot due to building evacuation. The bodies that had been abandoned on the street were carried into the lot in garbage carts and piled up on the ground. The corpses were cremated day and night. She became desensitized to the smell and the sheer number of people in front of her eyes. She said that everybody became numb to what was happening. What was human dignity? We are not created to be burned like garbage. There was a well at the back of our house. A number of people who had been severely injured came there for water. Carrying me on her back, My mother cleaned their wound and used old clothes, which she had boiled to desensitize to beforehand as bandages. She never knew what happened to those people. On August 15, my mother was sent to help the doctors at the college auditorium, where the first aid station had been set up. My mother fainted at the sight of the floor, completely covered with people with extremely severe injuries and burns. When she regained consciousness, the first task she was assigned to was to brush off numerous maggots the size of her thumb from the patients and on the floor. She was 24 years old at the time. My mother died 12 years ago at the age of 89. She was in and out of hospital 28 times due to numerous illnesses, including heart troubles, stomach cancer, and liver cancer. Before she died, I once recorded what she witnessed in writing, but she seemed quite dissatisfied. What she read, she might have felt that no words or expression could describe the hellish scene she had witnessed. Other senior hibakusha must feel the same as she did. I always feel hesitant to share my mother's experience with other people, as I know I can never really describe what really happened. But now that 78 years have passed, the average age of these survivors has reached 85. And we younger hibakusha must succeed their work and speak out on their behalf. What actually happened under the mushroom cloud is immeasurable tragedy. Civilians, including the elderly, women, and children, died. Over 210,000 people died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the end of 1945. Each of them had a name, family, and precious life. Due to intensive news censorship by the US, casualties were completely covered up. We hibakusha were abandoned when we needed help the most. During a press conference in September 1945, Duty Commander General Thomas Farrell, the person in charge of the Manhattan Project, said, "People who were supposed to die have already died. There is nobody who is suffering from the radiation." After such a statement, hibakusha were the citizens of the defeated nation had no choice but to remain silent. Both the Japanese government and the US government turned a blind eye on those of us who were exposed to radiation for 10 years. We have received no support, neither medical nor economical. In 1946, the first UN General Assembly was held, and the first resolution was about nuclear disarmament. They decided that it was the first priority for the UN to address, and a new committee was formed to solve issues regarding nuclear weapons. What has the world been doing to achieve this goal? It's been 78 years since the atomic bombing. The average age of hibakusha is now 85. Every year, about 9,000 people pass away. We hibakusha have been sincerely and faithfully working toward the abolition of nuclear weapons without taking even a single day of rest. Following the bikini accident in 1954, in 1956, 11 years after the bombing of Japan, Hibakusha, who had been hiding and suffering, finally banded together and started to act, make their voices heard. They formed the Japan Confederation of A&H Bomb Sufferers Organization. Our resolution was to not only save ourselves, but also through our experiences, save humankind from the crisis. We stood up and have been working together ever since. In Japan and even from overseas, people who hope for a world without nuclear weapons have been supporting us. We continue to talk about our own experiences, although we suffer each and every time we relive our moments of agony and grief. This sense of mission and determination have been sustaining us, the Hibakusha. On July 7th, 2017, when the UN adopted TPNW, many Hibakusha shared our joy with each other, grateful to have survived to witness this moment. Our joy was for those who had spent their entire lives for this initiative and for the 210,000 people who died on the day of bombing. The heavy iron doors that we had been pounding on had finally opened a little, and we saw a ray of light coming through. And January 22nd in 2021, the TPNW went into effect as an international law. While this is the source of jubilation, we acknowledge this as the first step of a new beginning. However, the world is currently moving backward on nuclear disarmament. The Russian invasion of Ukraine had caused unspeakable human suffering and raised the risk of nuclear war. As a Hibakusha, I have dedicated my life to nuclear abolition. I feel just how sinful humans are. Rather than anger, I feel sorrow and fear, how deep humans will fall into the darkness when President Putin threatened to use nuclear weapons. I felt powerless that Hibakusha's cries might not have been strong enough. But we have no option to give up. I have renewed determination to convey the horror of nuclear weapons, as more people should learn what really happens if nuclear weapons are used against humanity. The threat of use of nuclear weapons is most imminent than before. Hibakusha have seen or experienced death, disease, poverty, and discrimination, and even survivor's guilt. If nuclear weapons are used, there will be nothing left but the earth be devoid of human beings. There will be nobody who can be proud of their power, honor, or status. There will be nobody left to toll the bell for the dead. We Hibakusha are not mere survivors of the atomic bombing. We are the ones who have been taking action to save mankind from this crisis. We are the ones entrusted with this mission. Our wish is that no one will ever cease from the use of nuclear weapons as we have. We humans created nuclear weapons and will be the ones to abolish them. There is no justice or peace we can achieve using the force of nuclear weapons. Abolishing nuclear weapons is not for the public benefit, and bequeath a more peaceful world for future generation. Hibakusha will take whatever time remains for each of us to continue to talk with all of you and act to abolish nuclear weapons. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wada. I have heard your testimonials in the past, but every time I listen to your experience, it really strengthened my determination. Of course, it's so painful, but so powerful, and it's so important. Young people, yeah, especially young people, to learn more about the humanitarian impact of the use of nuclear weapons. And there is no more powerful testimonial than atomic bombing survivor. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. So now we have a, thank you, ありがとうございます. Thank you. So now we have I guess about 20 minutes or so, question and answer session. So I cannot speak Ukrainian or other language other than Russian. No, sorry, the Japanese and English. So if you have a question, could you please ask in English or Japanese? I mean English. Then Ms. Wada can also understand English, but we will work together.
Yes, please help me. Yes.
Yeah, of course, I will do my best. Yeah. So any question or or comment, anything?
Valeria,
Yeah, Valeria. Great. Yeah, Valeria.
Yes, thank you very much. Arigato. This is all I know in Japanese for now. Thank you, Ms. Wada, for this speech. It's very difficult to hear because usually when we, young generation, we are learning all about nuclear history, and you read it in the books, in the articles, you don't realize the reality was with what people have faced in real life. So it's very important, I guess, to talk about it, especially with students, with young professionals, because they will be the people who will create the policy, who will be in all those organizations for disarmament, etc. So I guess we are doing a great job, and you are doing a great job that we are discussing it. And as Ukraine has faced now with the Russian invasion, and Russia has used now nuclear weapons as political tool in the war to pressure and for Ukraine, and that's why people in Ukraine, civil society, all the time discussing now nuclear weapons use, the possibility, and even what to do if it happens. So what your next steps? Can we run away? Should we sit at home? What can we do? What consequences will be? So that's why I have a question for you. So how have you in Japan, when this happened, were there any mechanism or support system for people who survived it? For example, physical and emotional mechanism supports, because you told that first years there was no support medical, but maybe afterwards the government have helped, or maybe other states also have helped for people to go through it, and not only in medical sense, but also in emotional one, because it's a huge trauma for people. I can't even imagine how much. So which initiatives there were and how did they work out? Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Valeria. It's so important question. So, 和田さん、大体お分かりになりました。そうですね。特にウクライナはやっぱりロシアが例えば核兵器を使った後どうしたらかとかっていうこととかもあるので、被弾橋ができるまではサポートなかったっていうことですけど、その後、心と体と両方の、特にね、感情的なこととか、はい。
被団協ができてからずっと私たちは、運動をしてきて、そして自分たちも助けてほしいということですね。ことをずっと言い続けて、やっと、もう何年も何年もかかって、やっと、支援を得るようになって、医療的なものですね、それは。医療の支援を得るようになったという、そこまでいいですか？
はいはいはい。So her organization in Japanese is Hidankyo, the Confederation for the Sufferers Group. So ever the organization was established, the members and atomic bombing survivors have been working hard to receive support, the medical support, but it's a physical aspect, like a medical support, not emotional one. Yeah. Okay.
やっと、手帳をもらってね、それでやっと、被爆者と認定されたらということなんですね。ただ、
So,
医療費をフリーになったということです。はい。
right. So in order for them to receive medical support, first they have to be recognized as atomic bombing survivors, and they receive some certificate to be atomic bombing survivors. So you need to be verified you are 被爆者。Yeah.
だけど、それはいろんな形で分断された中でのね、政府が、その、被爆者と認定するのもいろいろな、何かな、線引きがあったということです。今もそれはある。
However, for the atomic bombing survivors to be recognized as a hibakusha, there are quite a few obstacles and some like eligibilities and that kind of things. Created some division even among the atomic bombing survivors, and there are still situation has been improving, but still there are such some challenges given the so-called eligibility to be recognized as a hibakusha. That's
今も
quite a,
戦っ
still
ています。
now. はい。
はい。
And there are people like Ms. Wada who are actively fighting for the survivors. They continue to work hard. They are still continue to work hard to support all the atomic bombing survivors. Yeah.
黒い雨のことがありますね。黒
はい
い雨がどこで降ったかって言って、それで線引きをされてます。はい。認められない。
Right. それは認められなかったんですよね。今。
認められた人も認められない
Oh,
人もいる。
Right. So you might have heard the black rains, after the bombing, the rains that contaminated the rains with radioactive contaminated waters. But the people who were affected by black rains, because it's quite difficult to identify that area that the black rains fall. So that also caused some issues, and there are still some people who are not recognized, even if they were affected by the radioactive rains, the black rains.
ありがとうございます。
はい。But maybe なんか精神的なダメージを受けた人はまだということもちょっとだけ言っていただけますか？
はい。精神的なダメージを受けた人ももうたくさんいます。今もトラウマになってる人ね。そしてそれが被爆体験者という形になってるんですよ。精神的なものを持ってる人たちは。それでまた線引きをされている。
その精神的なダメージを受けたっていうことは、その被爆手帳をもらってない人もいるっていうことですか？
そうです、そうです、ね。
So Valeria, you also asked about some people who has a strong trauma and some emotional damage. However, those people were not like people who just had a trauma and emotional suffering, or those mental suffering. They were not officially, some of them were rare, they were not officially recognized as atomic bombing survivors. So this is another big issue. So, okay, yeah, thank you. I think it's a very, はい、ありがとうございます。The very, very important question. Yeah, thank you. So are there any other questions? Natalia, please go ahead.
Arigato, dear Ms. Vada. Thank you. Just talk with Valeria that humans are very ill to each other, and like it was something that never happened before. I think in nuclear fields, it's what we actually used as a first, and we just found out how fissile materials works and how much energy it could produce. It was created to bomb to kill as much people as we can. And I'm just wondering when it was start to be understandable for the Japanese people that actually it was weapon used against them with Americans, and what it was bring to the society, what people actually feel about this, what was, how it reflected in the social life.
So your question, so I just wanted to understand correctly. So around what time, when Japanese society and the people started recognizing the effect of nuclear weapons and how it affected the society?
Yes, yes. I mean, like in general, like it was great to pay to the Americans, for example. I mean, in general, they very understandable that the American army just dropped nuclear weapon to the Japan against them and killed at once so many people. So what was after? What people feel about all the situation?
Oh, okay. Including the emotion towards Americans. そうですね。そのアメリカが核兵器を落としたということに対しての、その日本の全体的なその感情といいますか、そういうことに、まあ、一般的にどういうふうに受け止められているかっていうことと、あとまあ全体的にその核兵器に対する理解とか、被害のこととか、その全体的なその、まあ、日本全体における、まあ、アメリカに対する感情とか、そういうものを、はい、どうでしょうかということです。
もう、日本の中でも被爆者がまだいるのかというようなね、考えを持っている人もいるんですね。もうみんな死んでしまったんではないかと、被爆者は。っていう思いを持っている人もいますね。考えを持っている人も。そしてアメリカに関しては、あれですね、オバマさんが来た時にね、謝ってほしいのかっていうようなね、謝りに来たのか、謝ってほしいのかっていうようなね、意見がたくさん出たんですけれどもね、そうではなくてっていうような私たちは謝罪は求めないというようなね、本当だけど、言葉だけでもね、本当は本心はね、謝ってほしかったっていうのはあるんです。だから日本の中では、やっぱりそういう思いをみんな持ってますね。
はい。ありがとうございます。First of all, even inside Japan, there are quite a few people that thinks that atomic bombing survivors have been already perished, passed away. So there are no more atomic bombing survivors. That's one perception. But in terms of the general perception, especially among the atomic bombing survivors. Like, for example, when President Obama came to Hiroshima in 2016, of course, many people was hoping that there, if President of the United States apologize for, but they officially said we are not asking for the apology, but deep within their heart, they were seeking for some words of apology from the US. どうぞ。
そうですね。はい、そういうことです。
はい、OK。はい、ありがとうございます。Yeah. Any other question or any follow-up or comments or anything?
If no one, can I also
Yeah,
ask?
please go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah,
Valerie.
I want to ask quite simple question. It will be important for us for distribution further because we will create news, maybe poster, update. And that's why I want to ask you, what do you think is the most important lesson that humanity should learn from the events of Hiroshima and Nagasaki? If to describe it in shortly in one sentence, but very powerful, so people to understand the importance of this lesson.
はい。あ、
Yeah.
わかりましたでしょうか。もう本当にシンプルに一言で一番広島、長崎の体験からに人類が学ばなければいけないことをもうパワフルななんか一言で言ったらどういうことでしょうかってことなんですけど。
核と人類は共存できないということです。
はい。Okay, so the nuclear weapons and humanity cannot coexist.
決して使ってはならないものということですね。
Yeah,
もう
and
絶対的な悪だということ、悪の兵器だということ、兵器ですね。
right, and the nuclear weapons is an absolute evil and should never be used again. Yeah. So I think 3 points: the no coexistence, and yeah, you got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We will use it for sure for further distribution about the event,
Yeah.
because sometimes when there is a lot of text, people don't read or pay attention. So
Right.
it's always good, to put like 2-3 points, but shortly, but very powerful one. So people be interested in and will think about it more. I also have one more question, if no one else. Yeah. Can I?
Oh yeah, of course, please, Valeria.
Like due to the latest, I would say, complicated situation around non-proliferation and disarmament, which is connected with Russian invasion of Ukraine, also some failures in non-proliferation regimes like around North Korea and now around Iran. Can you feel now, maybe at the NP2 review conferences, at disarmament conferences, that due to all these latest events, the importance of disarmament and those steps which were already taken for disarmament, that they are now reducing and like losing their importance? Because, for example, I work in Germany now, and I know and heard that Germany was quite active for disarmament process, but lately, since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, not only, but like a common thing, last year, they didn't do for disarmament efforts almost anything. Vice versa, they are thinking about not of course nuclear weapons, but another policy. So last year, the steps in disarmament and efforts, they reduced gradually, because one of my colleagues, he was doing research. It will be in the book, which will be published soon. He's German, and he found out through this official documents that last year disarmament in Germany reduced lately. So I'm interested, do you feel already this tendency that last year or two disarmament efforts are losing their importance? Or maybe vice versa, people and countries understand how important disarmament is, how scary to live in the world with nuclear weapons, especially when it can be used against civilian people, like ordinary people who live their lives. So maybe this is like a too controversial side, but I mean, your feelings about it.
Yeah, that's very, very difficult, but very good question. So, 和田さん、最近のこの核兵器をめぐる状況は非常にいろいろ大変ですよね。特にロシアがウクライナを侵攻したことが北朝鮮とか イランとか、そういうなんかその核兵器をめぐる状況が非常になんていうか複雑になっていることによって、例えばですね、さっき質問されたバレリアさんは今ドイツにいらっしゃるんですけれども、これまではドイツでも結構特に学者とかの間ですよね、核軍縮、核廃絶、そうですね、特に核軍縮に関しての研究とか、そういうエフォート、努力とかがあったんですけれども、特に最近このロシアの侵攻とかで、核軍縮に関する努力っていうのがやっぱり減ってきてるわけなんですね。そういうことも考えて、和田さんから見られて、このロシアの侵攻とか、核をめぐるこの状況を今鑑みたときに、核軍縮の努力が減っているように思われるか、それともこういう状況だからこそ、本当に核軍縮のもっと努力をに力を入れていかなければいけないかって、ちょっとそのことに関しての和田さんのご意見を教えてください。
はい。軍縮ですね。それはもちろんやらなければいけないと思います。本当にロシアのことがあってからね、ウクライナのことがあってから、日本でもですよ。ある政党がね、核シェアリングみたいなことを言い出しましたね。日本も核シェアリングを考えたらどうか。私たちは日本被団協も即座にもう記者会見を開いて反対しました。それはとんでもないことであるということですね。だからそれはもちろん私たちはどんなことがあっても。だから軍縮、もう数が減ってますよね。核兵器の数は減らしたってどこの国も言ってます。イギリスも随分自分たちも努力をしてると言ってますけど、だけどアメリカもそうですけど、7万から1万2000になりましたけれども、性能が良くなってますよね。
はい。
はい、開発はしてます。だからそれはもう軍縮にはなってないと思ってます。
Okay, thank you. So first, in terms of nuclear disarmament, although the number of the nuclear weapons are reduced, but in reality, the quality is increasing. So like vertical proliferation is still ongoing. For example, in Japan, right after Russian invasion, one political party mentioned why this kind of suggested that Japan should also follow the nuclear sharing policy like certain NATO countries. However, I must say that this was still minority opinion, and of course, Ms. Wada's organization, Nihon Hidankyo, immediately after that such a like a opinion was issued by the certain political party, strongly criticized such a opinion. Nuclear sharing is not the solution. Yeah. So,
核兵器を P5 の中の分断がありますね。
Yeah, she's also she also mentioned that there is a strong division, of course, among the nuclear possessing countries. I mean, P5 countries.
核兵器禁止条約があれですね、分断したんではなくて、核兵器国の中で分断が起こってるじゃないですか。
So generally, some people think like a treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapon is the cause of a division of international nuclear disarmament efforts or non-proliferation efforts. But she said the real division is happening among the P5 countries. はい。Okay. はい。いいでしょうか。
はい。
はい。はい。Thank you. So, okay. So I think there are, let's see. Do we have a question for two more? Sorry, do we have a time for the two more questions, I guess?
Yes,
Yeah,
two
okay.
questions more, and we will.
Okay, sounds great. So why don't we first go with Shebnam and with then Natalia.
Thank you so much. ありがとうございました。And actually, mine is more a comment and perhaps a question. I've been working on what certain states are making of nuclear weapons, what kind of meaning they give to this certain kind of weapon system and its role in what we call winning the war, which means to achieve victory. For example, when we were in the United States in the museums where these were exhibited, the part on Hiroshima was very kind of obscure within the whole, like it was almost hidden. But what was more in the exhibit, obviously, was a narrative of why the United States needed this weapon at that particular time and against what and against which actors. And for instance, for my country, achieving victory means soldiers who are fighting in the battlefield, core, which means facing their bodies to body fight. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow is our national day, which we call the Victory Day, which was the battle that went on for 4 days, which is rather a short time in the sort of a traditional war, which prepared the end of the invasion by the foreign powers at the end of World War I. And then it prepared the conditions for peace terms and eventually the proclamation of the Turkish Republic. And my question is, what is the meaning of victory for Japan? Is it like in the traditional war, fighting fought by soldiers, body to body, or one with a certain category of a weapon? Because for the United States, it is different. For my country, it is different. And probably for Japan, it is different.
ちょっと複雑なシェブナブさんはトルコ出身の方なんですけれどもね、まず勝利っていうのはどういうことであるかっていうことですよね。例えばアメリカのミュージアムとか行って見てみても、広島のこととかもうほとんどなんか小さく隠されていて、例えばアメリカにとって核兵器を作って勝つことがすごく意味のあったっていうことなんですね。それと、あとトルコ、彼女の国のトルコ、実は明日がなんかビクトリーデーだそうです。それで、ビクトリーデーでトルコではなんかなんか戦場で、4日間のなんか戦闘で、なんかこう兵士が、兵隊さんがバトルフィールドで、戦場で、本当にこう差しでこう戦っている、これは第一次世界大戦のことなんですけれども、それで勝ったっていう、なんかそういうのがなんかビクトリーっていうことなんですけど、そのビクトリー、戦争ですだけじゃないと思うんですけど、勝利っていうのは、じゃあ日本にとって、和田さんから見て、その勝利っていうのはどういうことを意味するのかっていう、ちょっと深い質問なんですけれども、どういうことでしょうかって、どうでしょうかね。
難しいですね、本当にね。本当にこの今の戦争が早く終わってね、どっちが勝てばいいのかっていう、もちろんそれはもう分かってますよね。本当に終わってほしいってみんなが思ってるわけですけれども、それを勝利というにはどこまでが勝利なのか。私たちは本当にボディとボディと言われましたね。体でぶつかるようなもの。それからまたついには核兵器を使うようなものは絶対にそれは勝利にはならないというふうにもちろん思っています。だから私が思うのは本当にネゴシエーションですね。 私たちが、私たちに与えられているものというのは本当に話をするということが本当に人間にとっての一番のね、大きな力、武器だというふうに思うんですけど、それができないというのが本当に人間のね、悲しい今の状況だというふうに思いますね。
はい。
難しいですね、本当に。
わかりました。
何をもってね、meaning of victory ですよね。もう、どう言ったらいいかちょっと、ごめんなさいね、ちゃんと言えないんですけど、本当に何かどこかで話し合いの糸口を持ってほしい。トルコは今大事な立場にいらっしゃいますよね。
はい。
ビトゥインができるね、ところにあると思いますのでね、そういうもので、武器ではなくて話し合いでもって、っていうのを私たちは望んでますね。
はい。わかりました。First of all, Shabnam, it's very, very difficult question, but very deep and profound. But I think it's most important thing is that there is no victories when nuclear weapon is used. That's absolutely true. There is no victory once nuclear weapon is used. And as a human being, the power of dialogue is profound, and the power of dialogue could lead to some solution or victory. So, but I would stop here. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess last question in this segment is Natalia. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Masako. I just want to return to the experience of Miss Wada's mother on the surviving, just immediately after bomb was hit her city. I'm just curious from the point of view, like the practical steps. I know in critical situation we are behaving on one or other way. So maybe later on she was analyzed what happened during the after immediately the bomb attack and other days. Maybe she thinks that it would be useful if I would do reaction on other way, or I will leave this place immediately. What was lessons learned after this?
You mean more some practical lesson
Yes.
learned?
Practical lesson of her mother, because like she, like when you some time is passed and you analyze what happened, you're just thinking it will be maybe better to doing in this way or other way, like reactions or actions, whatever. Some practical advices maybe her mother gives to Miss
You mean
Wada.
if a nuclear weapon is used?
Yes. I mean, in case like she was survived after.
Right.
Yeah, and she like maybe has some practical lessons learned what she shares from her daughter, or maybe she explained something. Did she share it with her this information?
I see. Okay. So もしその核兵器が和田さんのもちろん核兵器が使われたときはまだね10ヶ月だったんですけれども、なんか実際的に例えばもし核兵器が使われた場合になんか生き残るために何かそのこう具体的なアドバイスっていうか何かレッスンというかそういうのはありますかっていうちょっと難しい質問なんですけれども、何かありますかね、そういう。
ないです。私が生き残ったのは山の陰で直接当たらなかったということですよね。だけど今度使われたら1回では終わらないです。一発で終わらなかったらもう本当に地球は滅びます。誰も助からないと思います。
Okay, I know. Okay, so Natalia, it's a very difficult question. The reason she was survived, she was 10-month old. The only reason she, less than 1 year old, yeah. The reason she was able to survive was because of some geographic situation. The place was hidden by the mountain, but she strongly believes once a nuclear weapon is used, there is escalation and there is no way to survive. So it's hard to answer to give you the practical question. So the best way is to preventive measure instead of a reaction. So yeah, so to do our best, never nuclear weapons should never be used again. I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
広
but
島
Okay.
ビジョンのことちょっと言うでしたか。広島
sorry.
ビジョンのこと。はい
ん。
広島ビジョンでね、
はい
78年間使われなかったその歴史の重要性っていうことを言ったんですね。使われなかった歴史の重要性を認識するというふうに書いてある。
はい。
それで、岸田さんも使われなかったというその歴史をないがしろにしてはいけないって言ったんです。
はい。
私たちはあの日、広島と長崎であったことをないがしろにしないために、私たちは今まで被爆者は頑張ってきたということを言いたい。だから絶対に使ってはならない。
はい。
ただ使わなかった。使わないから持っててもいいでしょうということにならないということです。はい。
Okay. Hi. Yeah. So I just wanted to emphasize. You may remember in this year, May, there was a G7 summit in Hiroshima, and Hiroshima, the summit, G7 summit issued Hiroshima vision. In that Hiroshima vision, the Prime Minister Kishida emphasized the importance of the non-use for the past 78 years. But the atomic bombing survivors, she really emphasized that that's not enough. The important thing is not just not to use, but it doesn't mean that you can keep nuclear weapons if it's not used. So it's important to abolish nuclear weapons.
Yes, I'm agree with you, but like Ukrainian people are living every day on this huge threat of that Russian Federation will use against us as nuclear weapon.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why we are asking these questions. Like it's better to be prepared to the very worst case scenario and save as much people as we can, because
Right.
in your case, it's very good that your mom was, you were located in the mountain area, but
Right.
in general, Ukraine is pretty flat country, not taking into account Carpathian region and Crimea, but it's pretty flat country, and
Right.
the risks are very high. And I'm
Yeah,
hope that we will never face this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natalia. I fully understand it. じゃあ、和田さん、ウクライナの人たちは本当にもう毎日ロシアが核兵器を使うかもしれないというそう恐怖に怯えて生きているので、だから、もちろん使われないことが一番ですし、絶対使われちゃいけないんですけれども、使われるっていうことが結構本当に喫緊の脅威になっている現状の中で、もしもだから使われたらどうしたらいいのかっていうことが常に頭にあるということも、ウクライナの方の現実ということですね。はい。ちょっとそれだけおっしゃっていました。
そうですね。
はい。ありがとうございます。Okay, thank you so much. Again, I really would like to express my sincerest appreciation to Ms. Wada for sharing such a very important testimonials, and also thank you so much for the very good, provocative but so important, profound question from the audience. So I would like to give one more round of big hands to Ms. Wada and everybody. Thank you so much. ありがとうございました。
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wada, for your time and for your personal story. I know that it's also very late in Japan, so thank you for this. In August, it's so busy, also month for you, as was mentioned. Thank you, Masako, for helping us, for connecting us with such wonderful person, Ms. Wada. It was incredible to hear this, and we will share this records and information to spread information and to emphasize the importance of never again. Thank you very much. And before we go for our second distinguished speaker, I want to ask everyone who is able to turn on the camera, because I want to do a screen, like a photo for our news. Yeah, so everyone who is able to, so please open. Yep, thank you. Okay. Yeah, people, oh, great, people are still. Thank you. Say disarmament.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much.
So, it's my pleasure to introduce our second speaker, Miss Suzuka Nakamura. Suzuka was born in Nagasaki in 2000, and she is a student of Sophia University in Tokyo. Her grandmother is a hibakusha, a victim of the atomic bombing in Nagasaki. She started her peace activity based in Nagasaki from high school. After entering university, she joined projects to promote the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons in Tokyo. As a campaigner of ICANN, the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons, she is also working as a member of Gene Watch, a project tasking and visualizing all Japanese Diet members through about TPNW, and now she works as a co-founder and designer of No Nukes Tokyo. So please, Suzuka, the floor is yours. Share with us your experience, your projects. We are very interested to listen and to ask as much questions as we can.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I guess we already had a lot of input for over this hour, so I guess everyone's brain is kind of getting a little bit tired, but I wish if everyone could listen a little bit more about my stories, like more relaxed. And my English is not so good, so I really wish if Toki-san to interpret my English as well. But anyway, I'll try my best for this, like about 20 minutes. So yeah, I was born and raised in Nagasaki, and my grandmother is hibakusha, but actually I've never heard about her experience directly. So as my motivation to work for this activities, I guess it's not like the reason is not my grandmother. Like yeah, I also recognize that my life continues from her, so I cannot completely separate my identity with my grandmother, but still a lot of hibakusha, other hibakusha, and also like the town of Nagasaki reminded me a lot about the how terrible nuclear weapons are. And also like since when I started this activity, the TPNW was adopted at the UN. So my activity started at the same time when the TPNW was born. So like the atmosphere of the world was very positive. Like everyone was feeling that we can abolish nuclear weapons. So like that, in that very positive mood, I thought if I could be a part of that movement. And so like I started to join a collecting signature campaign in which we deliver to the UN in Geneva. And also I've done a lot of like civil activism, like doing demo and like speaking out in the town. Yeah, but during my high school life, I cannot really get into a politics side for so many reasons. Like in Japan, like it's not very easy thing for high school students to talk about politic things in a public scene. I think this is a very weird situation, but this is real in Japan. Like yeah, we never talk about politics in school, and teacher never teaches me. Like we learn about the basic things, but never talks about the real time politic issues or the politics things. So that it was impossible for me to do that during my high school life. But in order to I thought I cannot avoid politic topic in order to talk about this disarmament issue. So when I entered university, then I launched my own No Nukes Tokyo, an organization for young people, and joined as a partner of ICANN and started lobbying in Tokyo. So, and after that, I realized that not all Japanese politicians are so, how can I say, I guess they do have they are interesting about this issue, but they do not have enough knowledge or experience or so I guess maybe some of you already know, but in Japan, there is a very imbalanced gender, old man. Most of the politicians are old man, so there is I thought they are much clever than me, to be honest. But when I started to talk with them and to have a conversation, I realized that they do not know about the fact what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and also how dangerous to possess nuclear weapons. So they say that in order to protect Japan, they need to have nuclear weapons. I mean, the nuclear umbrella, which America provides, but they never imagine that if those nuclear weapons are used. So I think that's nonsense. Whenever the nuclear weapons are used, nobody could be saved. And how can the politicians or the Japanese government could say that they are willing to save our lives? So I keep telling this weird logic to recognize them about this weird logic. And now I'm also doing an research about how much of them agree with the TPNW. And now the result is only 36% of them agree with the TPNW. So yes, it's too low. Even the politicians who were elected from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they not all of them agree with the TPNW. In Nagasaki, there are 12 politicians who were elected from Nagasaki's area, but only two of them agree with the TPNW. So yes, this is the fact in Japan right now. So I guess it's if you have question, you can just cut in.
Oh, thank you. I just want to be clear about what actually they meant by agreeing with the TPNW. Do they believe or they think that it is not it's not going to be realized? I mean, do they agree with the spirit of it?
Oh,
But
yeah,
they
thank you.
don't think that it's going to be working, or they completely disagree with the spirit of the treaty?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. For this now, agree means that to join the TPNW. So to ratify the TPNW. If the question goes to, do you think Japan should observe the meeting of states parties, then the percentage goes to 50%. But to ratify the treaty, it comes to 36%. And moreover, there are only like 5% who disagree with this treaty. And most of them do not answer this question. So they do not have a clear stance about this treaty. So if they do not have a clear stance, then we cannot discuss about this. So this is, I guess, I am thinking that this is the biggest problem we have right now. So we have to like raise the awareness that of Japanese politicians to think and discuss about this issue. I've done these kind of activities during my student's life, and right now I am a final grade of the university, and now I have to think about my job. But like most of activists, I mean young students activists in Japan, have to quit their activities when they graduate school because they have to do their own job So because it's a very hard thing to earn money while doing these activities. So, but I thought this is a very, very sad situation because we have we have experience or we have a network, and when we quit this activity, it means that these experiences or network disappear. So I thought this is the most negative thing to try to solve this issue. So now I'm trying to make my own company to continue this activity. So like from now until now, I was totally in a social activism part, but now I'm moving to a business part and trying to figure out the way to continue my activism. So yes, this is a little bit short, but my introduction of my activity. So I would like to give this mic back to Valeria. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I have a lot of questions myself, but of course I will wait until audience will ask them, because you surprised me quite a lot, and it was very interesting. Thank you very much. So please, Shabnam.
Thank you very much, Valeria and Suzuka. And thank you for your presentation. It's very important to hear from the current generation, I suppose. And you were very open to express your difficulties that are facing you at the same time. My first point is that the good news, at least for our part, is that my student, my current student whom I am supervising for her master's thesis, is about to complete her thesis on nuclear disarmament. And she's making a theoretical analysis, analyzing the theory behind and the NPT and the TPNW and the evolution of the view on how we look at nuclear disarmament, especially on how you are actually looking at it. That is the humanitarian consequences of a nuclear use or nuclear war. And sometimes people try to make sense of what is really going on, but they are misunderstood. And in that sense, I think activism can also be mindful, in the sense that I think you are not an activist who is dead set on having something, but you are being mindful on how you can proceed with the arguments, how you can convince people, but at the same time, you try to understand from which point they are coming from. And once in the society, and this was the part of my PhD dissertation, when I made sense of pro and con nuclear energy people in Turkey, when you have an enlightened dialogue between them, it is easier to take a step further, especially in policy. And for the Black Sea Women Nuclear Network, probably those who are going to be in Bodrum in October are going to meet my student who will have earned her MA with that thesis, and we will be providing the thesis for you in the PDF format. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shabnam, much. Who do you want to reflect on Shabnam's comments, or Suzuka? Or it's fine? Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Because I have. Okay, today is a lucky day for me. I can ask a lot of questions. So thank you very much one more time. So if I understood correctly, so every time when I think about Japan, especially one time I was at the simulation game of the NPT review conference, and I was Japan. So we were negotiating in Monterey NPT, and all the time I was trying to find something about Japan's position, and it was so proactive for disarmament, never nuclear weapons. So because of this, I was sure that in Japan, since, I don't know, school, there is a very, like, a lot of lessons and education around nuclear weapons, how it's can be, how awful it can be when states use nuclear weapons against country, and that Japan is the only country who has faced with this. So I was sure that this movement is so strong, and that you are an activist, yeah, you have projects, and that there is a lot of support of this project, because it's so important issue in Japan. So I'm really surprised to hear that even the support of the TPNW is so low in Japan. So it's really surprising. So can you maybe tell a little bit more how this history lesson, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, is usually is taught in schools and universities? For example, how much time it take? Do you have any discussions? Do you have any films showed? Yeah, so is there any activities in this regard to show the kids who's growing up what was there, and or it's just like a slow lesson, like here it is awful, but let's move further? So how it is usually going on?
Yeah, thank you for your question. And actually, that's the biggest topic now I'm trying to face as the business. So, yeah, for people in Hiroshima or Nagasaki, thanks to Hibakusha like what Miss Wada-san, we have a lot of opportunities to listen to the testimonies of Hibakusha. But when we go outside of Hiroshima or Nagasaki, there's more or less opportunity to get in touch with them. So there is a big gap between, even inside Japan, there is a big gap about the like knowledge or literacy about this topic. So, you know, education is very important to like how they get an impact on our thoughts. But that even Japan have a very, very important experience. Those experiences are not being shared enough in Japan. So when it comes to Hiroshima or Nagasaki or Okinawa, there is a lot of program or organizations who could provide the curriculum with the very, very, content, very good, with a very good content. But outside of these prefectures, like even the schools or teachers are being, they are in a very difficult situation because they do not have enough knowledge, so they cannot teach to their students. So now I'm trying, now through my business, I'm trying to lecture. I'm trying to lecture, have a lecture to the teachers in order to have more good peace education, even in outside of Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Sorry, I talked too long, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Masako, please.
Yeah, I thank you so much, Suzuka-chan. It's so always wonderful to hear from you. I just wanted to comment on that Valeria's question about the education in Japan. And I grew up, unlike Suzuka, I grew up outside Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Actually, I was born in Kobe, so it's in. But I agree that there is not much opportunities for even Japanese students. And I must say I'm much older than Suzuka-chan, but when I was a high school student, I had an opportunity to visit Nagasaki from school excursion. And I think there are still quite a few high schools or junior high schools that they bring students to Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the summer or some school excursion, but I would also say it's limited. So in my view, I really think without some extra efforts, like Suzuka is doing, or like, for example, my project to promote the summer education for high school students in Japan and a different country, without some extra efforts, it's so difficult to maintain or to really convey the horror of nuclear weapons. So because I don't think this issue is officially really included in the curriculum. So I really think much more effort must to be done even in Japan. So I just wanted to comment on this aspect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. For education, like Masako-san is a specialist, so I guess she can more talk than me, but yeah, thank you for your comments.
Yeah, thank you. I have also one more question. So recently, the most now popular film, Oppenheimer. So I have a question regarding this film, because I heard that initially in Japan they were not going to show it, Oppenheimer, but then they changed their mind and they started to show. So have you heard any comments of people about this film? So how the society Japanese reacts on this film? So maybe some interesting fact, because I think they showed like Hiroshima and Nagasaki quite like there was a very small part. It was quite powerful, very powerful, but quite small. I felt that I would be curious to see a little bit more, to feel it even deeper, But of course, like it's a movie about Oppenheimer as a person, so because of it they left. But I'm curious what people in Japan think about this film. Is it popular there, and what are reflections?
Actually, in Japan, it is not 上映されてない
Yeah,
not
it has not
still-
shown in Japan yet.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, not yet, right?
Yeah, so
But they go.
but
Mhm.
yeah, but there were news that about the Barbenheimer. So like, and it was very the date was very close to August 6th and 9th, so it was a bit hot topic in Japan as well.
Mhm.
But you know, I guess for Japanese people about the Barbenheimer, like the hashtag Barbenheimer campaign was very sensitive news. Like usually when we talk about the nuclear issue, the opinion usually divides into like someone says we need nuclear weapons and someone says we don't need nuclear weapons. But about this Barbenheimer, like most of the people agree with that we shouldn't like make a meme like Barbenheimer. So it was a bit unique for me. This phenomenon was very unique. Like, oh, everyone is agreeing with this. So for that, I thought I felt a little positive feeling. Like, oh, everyone is having a everyone can see what the problem is. So yeah, but for when we talk about the worldwide recognition about this hashtag Barbenheimer, I was a little bit sad that still this topic could be just like a cartoon. It's not like a real thing. So yeah,
Yeah,
I thought.
I understood. I understood about you are talking. It was weird for me as well, because it's a serious film, serious topic, and so I even didn't still understand how it's connected. Only that they shared a release date, and that's all. Like two films in one day. So, but I couldn't understand, and people are just repeating it, repeating. So it was like a little bit weird. I agree. But I heard a lot of from people who is not connected with nuclear, that after watching Oppenheimer, they realized how like how powerful these weapons, but at the same time how like dangerous and awful these, because in the film it reflected like after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, how Oppenheimer was thinking about it, what he has done. And when he even was receiving an award, he was seeing those people without skin, suffering, and it was so, and he felt so bad, but he couldn't, and people were just applauding him. So they showed this moment, and I guess it reflected on all people, even who didn't know much about nuclear weapons, because it's quite specific topic, I would say. But now it's becoming more and popular. Yeah, and maybe some more reflections, questions. We have time for one more small question, 1-2 minutes. Everyone saying thank you because it's everyone is saying thank you in the chat. Yes, maybe last small. How many people in your network, which you're co-founder of your
in my
approximate
organization now there are nine members.
9 members?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because we are also a young network, so it's will be interesting to cooperate if there will be some occasions online, maybe firstly, of course, because Japan and Ukraine and Europe is Okay. So thank you one more time, Suzuka and Miss Vada.
Me too. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, we are very grateful for your time, and I want to pass word to emphasize everything and to close this wonderful, insightful event for Natalia Kloss. She is a coordinator of the Black Sea Women in Nuclear Network, and she is also a nuclear security expert with 19 years of experience in the field of physical protection, including at the IAEA as the State Nuclear Regulatory Inspectorate of Ukraine, the Ministry of Energy of Ukraine, and the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. Natalia also holds a master's degree in nuclear security and public administration, and she was a fellow at fellowship programs such as the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation, of course, in Monterey, California. So please, Natalia.
Oh, thank you, Valeria. I didn't expect that you will introduce me so long time, I would say. Thank you very much, dear Japanese friends, that you actually found time, actually, in really late time to participate in this meeting with us. But it's very meaningful because it's a big threat right now for Ukrainian society and to the Black Sea region in general, with all those threatening and news that coming from Russian Federation. And we hope that our voices will be heard and listen to the power of people in this world that will actually do not make happen the strategy again. And thank you very much that you actually spend this emotional part with us, because I understand to make testimony it's very hard from many point of view, because all the time when you're talking about this, probably you are returning to all those strategy in days with deep emotional understanding. And thank you that you have a so powerful insight of you to sharing with us. And thank you everybody who stayed with us and joined today to this discussion, because it's very important to bring this information and show how horrible consequences is from our human actions. And we need actually to use nuclear energy for this way on the matter. Thank you very much. Thank you, Masako Toki, for actually to bringing and introducing us to us beautiful women, because without it never happened. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm stopping recording.